Here we go. Mona Lisa. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Mona Lisa was ranked as the most recognizable piece of art in the world, and the most artistic, if you will. But is it beautiful?
Peace.
Does it connect you to God? Good question. So one could argue that if you're looking at John Paul II's criteria for art, certainly the artist Leonardo is using his talent, God-given talent, and through that talent perhaps one might be drawn closer to God because this is a depiction of a human being, one of God's creations. What other experiences of beauty does this represent?
Does she either smiling or grinning?
Okay.
Kind of calmness, quiet.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Serene.
Oh, back there? Okay, hi, Gil. Calming, serene.
She almost looks otherworldly. She's the focus of her eyes. Is she drawing us in by looking out at us, or?
Now that's a very small painting, is it not? It's
Yes.
like 2 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you and say I personally don't care for it a ton. I mean, it's...
What do the experts say about it? That's what I'd like to know. Why is it
What
do the experts say? Why is this so beautiful? Because I don't see it.
I mean, they would look at it more artistically, perhaps, than beautifully, but because of all the things that we talk about in terms of art, the skill involved in the person painting it, Da Vinci, the subject, form, and content. So the content, for a lot of people, that speaks a great deal to a lot of people. That's why it's so famous. And the form, I mean, it's a very beautiful rendition, or I shouldn't say beautiful, it's a very good rendition of the human figure.
One thing
So-
I heard was that the skill that went into the eyes is exceptional because no matter what angle you're looking at it from, it looks as if she's looking at you.
Yep.
And I guess that...
Yeah, you're kind of right, Kathy.
I guess that takes a lot of skill to be able to pull that off.
That's a good point.
It really does display someone's God-given talents.
Sure. Okay.
The shadow on the side of the face is very softly done. It's very sensitively done and gentle.
Have you ever tried to draw that, Marianne? Have you ever tried?
This?
Yeah.
No, I've not done her.
Okay. All right, this is a photograph by Tom Mangelson. It's called Catch of the Day. This is, with photographers, frequently it's their iconic photograph or the photograph that makes them famous, so to speak. And this is a photograph that made him famous. I'm guessing it's about 30 years old. So it's not digital. So, who has that? Yeah, in Alaska, that's Katmai National Park. So they wait on the stream. So the salmon are trying to swim up the waterfalls to spawn. And so the bears will line up at the top of the falls. The falls aren't that high. And then, yeah, he managed to capture it right before he put his mouth around that fish. So is it beautiful?
It's beautiful.
Why?
That's beautiful all year.
So what can people say?
Bears haven't looked this beautiful this year.
Got that right.
It gives us access to stuff we don't know.
Gives us access to stuff we don't know? Okay. There is a certain harmony to it, is there not? So, and certainly one of the things you look for in photography is clarity. It's a different kind of clarity than what Thomas Aquinas was referring to. But you're looking for clarity, you're looking for composition, and you're looking for, Dinner? Yeah. Well, at least that bear is. So, I mean, as big as that image is, it's still fairly clear, you know? Any other comments on Tom Mangelson? Yes?
You know, it's very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to be very, very skilled, and you have to know timing. You have to know how to use the camera and when, and
Yeah.
set the tripod.
Okay, let's not try to talk at the same time because then we're going to miss out.
Yeah, my words are important too.
So,
That's 30 years old, you said?
yeah, that was a film photograph. That's not digital.
Before you had cameras that could take like X number of frames per second.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. This is right outside the State of Illinois building. So it's called Monument Withstanding Beast by Jean Dubuffet.
Yeah, and in person too. I was like, what the?
All right, is it beautiful?
No.
Why? Can't just, that's subjective, Bill. So,
It's interesting.
I would
I
think,
really don't know what it is.
I don't know if Jean is a man or a woman, but I'm sure he'd be hurt by your comments, Bill.
I think it's a man.
He or she? Oh, he? Okay.
Jean.
Jean Dubuffet? Okay, we're kind of, let's try to keep our conversation together so we can learn from each other. We're devolving. So, what are some of, what principles of beauty are not inherent in this? Seeing clearly?
Peace.
Yeah, it's not a harmonious piece, is it?
Not very peaceful.
Or peaceful. That's a very good point. I have no idea what that is. But for some artists, that's what they're trying to, they don't want you to know necessarily what it is, you know? I would imagine the city probably paid a lot of money for that, or the state. So,
But if they don't want you to know what it is, doesn't that contradict what beauty's supposed to be?
that's a good point, yeah.
I think it's interesting.
Okay, why?
Well, you have all, I guess you have all the different columns. I
Uh-huh,
don't know, I think it is, that's why.
okay.
Yeah, the color scheme is unified and provides a contrast against the background.
Okay,
It has line work, the line work connects the whole thing. You know, you might say.
okay,
The line work.
uh-huh, okay. Now this guy, Ed Paschke, I had a job when I was in seminary for 6 months, no, a year. And there was a thing called the Terra Museum of American Art on Michigan Avenue. And I was a security guard at that museum. And during the time I was there, the gallery I was in charge of watching over, they did an exhibit of Mr. Paschke's work. This wasn't one of them. But, so I stared at his paintings for about 6 months. And so that's kind of why I selected him as an image for tonight. Boca Rouge is the name of this one. But his style is very similar to this particular painting.
Certainly has symmetry.
It does. It has symmetry. It has unity. It has order. Who said beauty?
The most electric is the contrast of color.
Uh-huh.
Almost vibrates. Some of the portraits that he's done, it's almost electrifying the way he he worked with color to come up with the features.
Okay. Other comments? Mike?
In my mind, the eyes, it looks a bit like a very serious, like they're staring at you.
Uh-huh.
And then you get down to the chickens on the cheek, and it just kind of like, it's almost like contradicts. Like, is it a face of seriousness, beauty, or is it like comedy? I mean, I don't
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this one's a little tougher, isn't it? In terms of determining beauty. Other comments?
It's creepy.
Who said creepy? Oh, okay. I think maybe it's an example of Stockholm Syndrome, but by the time I got done working there, I actually liked this stuff. Yeah, I did. And I think for some of the reasons that Marianne was saying, and others, even you, Mike, I mean, I thought I liked the... See, I didn't even notice the chickens there until you said it. So, I mean, I think what this kind of art, at least his kind of art, inspired, you really have to study it, you know, to look at all the forms, to look at all the different colors and what it's speaking to and all that kind of stuff.
It took me a little bit to get past the eyes. The eyes seem like they're staring at you.
Yeah, and the lips too. I mean, the lips are very pronounced. So. Yeah. So it's not meant to be, I don't think it's meant to be realistic, obviously, but there is a certain amount of uniform order to it, clarity. Because it really does challenge you intellectually, doesn't it? To kind of look at it. So. All right, Notre Dame Cathedral in beautiful Paris, France. Missing the spire now, unfortunately. All right, why is it beautiful?
Because it is, I don't know, it just, symmetry. Yeah.
Symmetry, okay.
Technically from this.
I mean, the article, all the way to the bottom.
What'd you say?
From this angle, it doesn't look symmetrical. So you only know, it's symmetrical from other pictures of it you've seen.
Well, there is symmetry between the two spire, or whatever these called are. Or what are these called? Towers, I guess, yeah. And then you've got the buttresses going all along the side, and the windows.
I know, but you're saying you know that from other images you've seen or
Oh, okay.
have been there.
Yeah.
But you can't draw a line straight down anywhere and fold it in half and
Right.
at least from this.
Okay. Fair enough.
The spire is very thin, and, it looks up to God. I mean, there's some spires that heavenly.
Right. And I think the spire was added in the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken.
It was added.
Yeah, it was added. It's not original to the church.
It looks Gothic.
Yeah.
It's very intricate, that design in the window there. Is that the rose window?
That's the, yeah. There's more than one rose window there, though. I think there's one on the other side too, right?
You get the beauty of nature, like Mother Nature, and with the trees around it.
Okay.
As part of God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay.
It's beautiful because of the love that people have, building dreams for God.
Okay. Yeah, when you think of when was that built, Father Matt, do you remember?
800 years old.
800 years old? So yeah, that's quite a feat of construction for that era, you know? They didn't have cranes, they didn't have front-end loaders or any of that kind of stuff.
I think Thomas Aquinas would have seen the earliest portions of the building as they were building it.
Okay.
The young Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah.
I think it also, content-wise, even I'd argue even more than St. Peter's Basilica, this has a greater or richer Christian symbol for the world. In a larger sense, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's seen it, but I think that affectively, it has a meaning to people that gives it more sense than we normally otherwise would give it. Kind of like what Nicole was saying. We know it's proportionate because we've seen images of it, we've seen movies in front of it, we've seen scenes in all sorts of books, cartoons of this one building.
Very true. Yeah.
It means something to us. It's probably why the whole world either laughed or cried when it burned.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. I mean, I've never seen it in the flesh, but I'd always wanted to. And when it was on fire, I thought, oh my gosh, I'll never get a chance to see that, you know? And now, I mean, as the embers were watered down, I mean, came to realize that the damage wasn't as bad as it looked. The spire is gone in the middle and collapsed on itself. And last I heard, I haven't heard anything recently, but last I heard they were going to recreate it as it was, including the spire, I thought. So, but it's going to take them years to rebuild it. But yeah, I'd love to see it someday. All right, I'm real conscious of the time. Sorry, it's overtime. Just a couple more. This is Jackson Pollock and his style. And this is from 1949. It's titled very creatively, Number One. So.
I'd say what Tom said, it's therapeutic for the person who's painting it and maybe for the crazy person who likes it, but I think that it's ugly.
Grade schoolers love doing this kind of art.
Because they can.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
More garbage.
Bill, it's helpful if you have more than just that kind of an opinion. Why is it garbage?
How could that be art? It's splatter. I could do that.
No order to it?
There certainly is no. Right, there is and there isn't. It's not.
No, I mean, it literally tells you it's chaos. There is absolutely no order to that. I mean, there might have been an order to creating it, like the person doing it might have had a system, but the object itself tells you, it's trying to tell you that everything is chaotic.
Yeah.
There is no order to that. This is what the universe might have looked like before Genesis.
You know, this might have been on the floor when he was painting stuff, and that's what was left over from all those other paintings, and hey, look at that.
Well, one could say that if that was his only painting like that, but his whole style is that, you know? I mean, he created a style through his paintings. And he's very sought after. So.
That's called action painting. Action painting, he would actually be part of the motion. He would,
Right.
you know, drip the paint, and he was in motion when he was doing that, and he would go up on the staircase and he would throw paint down there.
Okay.
He was very active, and that's what I remember from reading about that. And modern art, you know, it's kind of, what is it, disintegrating or deconstructionist. It's not the classical. It's
correct.
It shows something of our culture and maybe what's happening with modern.
So maybe as Father Matt said, I mean, it represents chaos.
Traditions were not there.
Right.
Are not there today or during this time. After the war, I remember reading about something, the war made a difference to some artists, and World War I and World War II, all the murders and the killings and the destruction of the war is
reflected in.
like rebellious painting or something.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Carol?
Recently, I saw something on PBS where they had actual satellite views of real parts of the Earth. And that could look like some real satellite view of Palatine, maybe.
No wonder there's so many accidents in Palatine. Okay, thanks. Yes, Barb?
Jackson Pollock was a reclusive who had a volatile personality, and he was also an alcoholic. That's how I look at his paintings as an expression of whatever.
What he had inside.
All right, we'll go through these a little quicker now because it's after 9. This is Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Very consistent with his style. Beautiful?
It's blue, so it represents the Blessed Mother.
Yeah, it's got beautiful colors for sure. All right, think about that. This is the Chapel of the Immaculate Conception at Mundelein Seminary. Again, as you look at liturgical art, certainly seems to qualify in terms of beauty with all the principles that Dr. McNamara described last week and a little bit this week. Well, does anybody think it's ugly? Okay. Cloudgate, the bean. I had no idea who the artist was, but it's Anish Kapoor.
Subjectively, I love the bean.
Subjectively?
It is fun.
I mean, the thing I like about it is that you see the whole city reflected in the metal.
But it also expands your face when you look at yourself.
Yeah. It's like one of those carnival mirrors. So. All right, sorry, we're running out of time. This is a Blessed Mother statue. I mean, don't look at the photographer because it's me, but just look at the statue. Now, obviously, I have subjective opinions on this, and some objective.
Because I'm concerned or passive look.
Okay? See, I see a smile similar to the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And even liturgically, because it doesn't look like I could pinpoint that face to anyone I know in this world.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a statue that looks like next door neighbor Betty or, you know.
Right.
It doesn't look like anybody else.
No.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because it's the Blessed Mother, the most beautiful woman
Mm-hmm.
that God ever created.
The interesting part about that, though, is that we have no idea what she looked like.
No.
Yeah.
Although some do.
Yeah, those in the time.
So, okay.